Hello, welcome to Unfiltered with Mariat. I am here to have real conversations that inspire, challenge, and connect us. Together, we will dive into stories that matter, build authentic connections, and uncover strategies to grow capital, whether it's financial, social, or personal. No filters, no holding back. Just impactful discussion with incredible changemakers and visionaries. Let's grow together. Join me. Unfiltered with Mariat. Well. Our guest today with Unfiltered with Mariat is the Fredley, the one and only Fredley, the mayor, the real mayor of Vancouver. I'm probably going to be saying this and getting into trouble, but trouble, double trouble.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited we were able to finally find some time to do this.
Awesome. And I'm just so delighted to have you here, Fred.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for the invitation and your patience. I know it's been a very busy period for all of us.
Busy? Busy is an understatement when it comes to Fredley. And on that note, Fredley, who is Fredley with his busy life? We see you around. Like, how do you keep up with it? Tell us first of all who Fredley is.
I am so privileged to be able to share with listeners, with readers, with our community, just the wonderful things that are happening in the city. I have the privilege and honor of getting to know, like you, just some of the incredible change makers, difference makers. I always say they're good people doing good things for others. And it really heartens me to see that there is such goodness in the world, and you don't have to go far, literally in our own backyard, in our communities, where we see this incredible love and care of one another, of our communities, of our planet.
You're so sweet.
And I have had the privilege as a member of the media for, almost 30 years to be able to cover all the good things that are happening in the city and to see the city grow. There is so much good in this community. And sometimes we tend to forget about that. Mm-hmm. We tend to miss that while we're always looking and hearing of all the ugliness of the world. They always take the headlines, and I've always had the privilege of working with so many outlets to be able to just talk about the good things that are happening in the community. And
you do a lot for the community. This podcast is Unfiltered with Mariat.
Yes.
And we have conversation, connection, and growing capital. And you couldn't be the best guest for me sitting down there, because when it comes to connections and when it comes to growing capital, like you have and conversations, I've been in a room and oh my God, the way you bring community together with humor even, it's just amazing. You're just a natural. And also that, Fred, you've actually grown capital in this community. Like you've made things happen. Like literally.
Oh, thank you.
Honestly, you've really done that. And when I asked you the simple question, who is Fredley? And I could see that authenticness, that vibes that you normally show the world, show the community. You were more talking about other change makers and talking about this goodness of the community, talking about how we should show up. But you really giving yourself the light. And I see that that's who you really are.
Oh, you're very kind. I mean, I think, as a member of the media, our job is to tell stories. Mm-hmm. And so I, am so honored to be able to tell the stories of so many people. And for me, I think it's important that I think everyone has a story. And I have this ability through all the various avenues to be able to tell the stories. And I do think...
Can we tell your story?
Oh, I saw that coming.
Fred. Well, everyone has a story.
Yes.
Dear Fred, just said that. What's your story?
I think that's... do we have
Come on,
time?
Fred.
I think for me, I have always been a curious individual. And I have always loved meeting people. Believe it or not, though, when I was young, I was very shy. and I was almost introverted. And I don't know at what point that switched, but I do think it was my curiosity, wanting to learn, wanting to understand the world a little better. I also want to acknowledge that, I have had so many educators and so many mentors who gave me the opportunity to pursue a career I didn't realize was what I was interested in until the opportunities presented itself. So
it's interesting. You said you were shy growing up as a young person.
I was.
I'm shy just sitting in front of you, Fred. Like, you make me shy because there's no shyness in you right now. And I think if I look at it in a way, I know you mentioned curiosity. Will any part of being in the media or maybe just showing up for the community and always being in front of the public, could that also have helped you to kind of like tame that shyness a little bit?
Absolutely. Again, it was because of some incredibly generous individuals who really gave me the opportunity to work in the many roles that I've had the opportunities to enjoy. I guess what I would say is there was this yes mindset. First of all, I was very honored when someone would come and present me with an opportunity, whether it was a role with a newspaper, a role as a columnist, a role as all these were opportunities where I wasn't necessarily looking for it, but I am so grateful that there were people out there that reached out to me and said, Fred, we have a role that we think would be good for you. And I said yes. So I've always had curiosity and this yes mindset that really has guided me. And it has opened up so many doors and so many opportunities, and so many friendships have come out of this yes mindset.
Yes
and
mindset could be like being uncomfortable and getting uncomfortable to be comfortable. Could that be like the yes mindset? Because oftentimes, yes mindset doesn't really come out to be positive, right? So, but if you are going with a yes mindset that I'm going to be uncomfortable, but I'm going to get comfortable, right?
And I think that's a very great observation. When you have this yes mindset, you're going to go in open to the opportunity and trying things out. And I've also said this to others, it doesn't mean at the end you're going to enjoy it. You're going to be uncomfortable. You may not enjoy it, but you've actually had the opportunity to experience it. And I do think, everything that has been presented to me, I've embraced. I will try it. And I ended up realizing I'm enjoying this, or I'm really good at this. So
I like that. I'm really good at this.
And I didn't know I had this skill set. And so I do thank the mentors and those champions who really gave me those opportunities. And I am incredibly grateful. And I do think that, I think if we all lead with curiosity and we lead with the yes mindset, I think we're also going to have a better appreciation of others and their stories. And I have been, as I mentioned, just incredibly honored to have been able to have those opportunities to get to know these incredible people, these organizations, and the incredible work that they do.
And I think it's both ways. The mentors and the individuals. I've come past, I don't know if you know, Ram Ben is one incredible guy too, a great leader in the community. And we both were talking about the word mentor. We're like, maybe not. Maybe use the word ally, because mentorship still, when you say mentor, mentee, it still feels like there's this hierarchy. And then you just want the person who you're supporting or guiding to feel equally like it is a friendship thing rather than a superior thing, right? So what do you think about not using the word mentor?
I appreciate that. I mean, I think there's also this great responsibility when, someone is asking or inviting you to be a mentor. I like the idea of a champion or an ally, someone that is in your corner and encouraging you.
The word ally.
And I do feel that, I think back to the folks that have provided me with all the encouragement and opportunities. They were not necessarily mentor in the sense that they were coaching me, or they really just...
Another word I don't use,
yes,
coaching.
I feel like they were just supportive.
I love that.
And
supportive.
They were my champions in my corner. And they really, when I was uncertain, when I was nervous about whether or not to accept any of these opportunities, they were there to support me in my being uncomfortable.
I think if someone says yes to opportunities for you, what I mean by that is someone recognizes potential, because oftentimes we don't tap enough into our strength. We're oftentimes afraid to even do that because it's either it's big for us and we feel like we kind of like, downgrade ourselves in a way like we don't belong there, but we do. When someone tap into that yes for you, I think is a big thing. And I think they see it. It's always easier for someone to see that and say, Fred can do that. I'm going to ask him to do that. And if we can get so many leaders out there that could say yes on behalf of people, I think it would be really great, because oftentimes we don't tap into our strength enough, and then we don't get into the right position or the right opportunity because we don't really do that. But if there is an opportunity for someone who wants to come and be an ally and say, I think you can do this. I think there is an opportunity here for you. And even if it feels like something that is so big and it scares us, I always say, when things going to make sense, it should be big enough to scare you, right?
I think there's this natural reflex of questioning whether you're good enough. I don't know where that comes from, but I do think sometimes, and I think
are we going to call that imposter syndrome now?
I don't know if you said it. I did not. Let's just be clear. You said it.
I said that.
But I think there is this, there's this belief that we have to be perfect in anything that we try or do. And if we don't, then we're not good enough. But I don't think there is any such thing as perfection. I think that it is very natural to feel that maybe you are not good enough. But I think it is about having a mindset to know that you are going to be the best that you can be and that you are good enough.
So we all as human beings must have some level of imposter syndrome in us.
Absolutely.
So do you think it's a big deal to have a level of imposter syndrome, or you think it's a natural thing?
I think there's this very natural thing where we compare ourselves to others, or we look up to others, or we aspire to be
like others.
And because of that, we're always comparing ourselves, and perhaps that's where we should stop. And I do think we should just look more inward and really be the best that we can be.
Exactly.
But in a world where we're always being compared or compared to, or we're told or being told that we have to be a certain way, behave in a certain way, uncertainty obviously creeps in. And so I think if you can remove yourself from comparing yourself to others, or
that is a big and great advice, because I say that a lot. And then I just feel like oftentimes it comes with this mindset of there's this scarcity mentality mindset, and everyone just compete rather than collaborate. And we talk that a lot, in the, I'm from the Black community, obviously. And then you from the Asian community, right? So I often say this, and I know marginalized community doesn't just happens there, but I think to some level there is this society standards that we need to start debunking, that we don't have to be that way. I suddenly stop wearing shoes because health-wise I feel better with my sneakers. And I know sometimes when I go somewhere and people will look at me and like, is she wearing the sneakers in here? I'm like, yes, I am. Like, there's this society norm that wearing your 6, 8, 9 inches heels looks much better and presentable, looks more professional, rather than my skills, my experience, my work, my ethics, and all of that kind of stuff. What has all of this cosmetics got to do in terms of how I show up here? What do you think about that? Do you think it's just sometimes we expect a lot from, or do you think there should be some standards how we show up? You know, because it's just shoes. I'm still dressed up professionally.
I think, personally, I think as I have grown and matured, as I've gotten older,
Come on, Fred, you're still 16. Where are you going?
I now live and lead with my own set of standards versus the expectations and standards of others.
Amen.
But I think that comes with maturity. I do feel, what I would say to my younger self would be, be yourself. Don't try and be like others or aspire to be like others or to blend in with others. And I just remember as a kid growing up, as a kid in high school, it was about blending in and being like others and looking like others and
that's a lot of
talking,
pressure, right?
Like, the same, have the same interests as others. And so it's interesting how over time we've evolved. But I think as we get older, we know what is important and what matters to us. And I think that only comes with maturity. And I also think it comes with putting yourself in a place where you are surrounded by people that will nurture and inspire you to be the best that you can be versus inspiring or asking of you to be like everyone else.
Wow.
And again, I am so incredibly grateful for my circle of friends and my family and encouraging me to be my authentic self. And I would admit that, as I was younger, I didn't know who that was. And I think that just comes with time and experience and the support of loved ones.
So that's critical, right? It's important to have a good cycle of support network.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just like I always talk about this better, not bitter mindset. And it's always important to have allies around you, and not just allies, but allies are going to be really supportive. And, that there's going to be just there for you when you need someone to be there. Because sometimes in our busy world, it could still be lonely in a busy world, right? And sometimes in that busy world could be really difficult. Is there other times like you've had, as busy as you are, have you ever gotten lonely, Fred?
I'm sure. Oh, absolutely. I think there are periods, particularly when I was younger and I was trying to come to terms with who I was. Mm-hmm. There was this feeling that I was the only one living this, and that it was a difficult time for sure. But I was really grateful that I had outlets and places and people I could talk to.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, I recognize that that's not the case. And so, being able to uplift someone or uplift a particular segment to let them know that they are not alone, I think is important. And I think drawing back to my own personal sort of feelings of isolation, I think what got me through it was the fact that I was able to speak to someone, particularly my friends, and to have that network and to know that there are places that you can go to get the resources to help you. But, for me, the coming out process was made a lot much easier knowing that I had a support network.
So
but
if there's someone listening to this podcast today and they're feeling in a place of isolation, and that could lead to so many triggers, right? And which we don't want. What would be your advice in terms of that, and how can they get out of that?
I think having someone to talk to, whether that could be a family member, a friend, barring that, there are organizations that I'm sure you could talk to that would help. It's amazing how in a crowded world, one can feel so alone and be isolated and feel like there's no one out there. And that's just not simply true. But it's also about inviting people to share what is inside them, inside their heads, and to be able to articulate.
It's about changing their mindset.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's nothing to be ashamed about. Literally nothing to be ashamed about. A part of, I think, why sometimes people are isolated is because they feel there's something shameful that can't be shared. And I think that this world, there is nothing that cannot be discussed. And I do feel that there are many ways in which you can get that help and support. And it starts by being able, I think, for anyone feeling isolated, know that there is someone that will listen, someone
And that's self-love, self-care for yourself.
Yes.
So first.
And don't feel shameful.
100%.
Do not be ashamed, because you're not the only one that will be going through this. You're not the only one that will be dealing with this issue, and know that you can get help.
Thank you, Fred. Talking about all of this, I just want to, before we round up quickly, you show up for the community in such a big way, and you show up for so many other organizations, like across the province, like literally. And you're so inspiring. And then you have this support you give your alumni, UBC. And you not just do that, the one that really got me is understanding the impact you do with CampOUT. So just to round it up there for people listening, I want people to know about CampOUT. Maybe there's a way they can support CampOUT, because I'm very dedicated into that vision because of you and, because of the way you show up for it. So what's the message you can share in terms of especially youth? Because mental health in youth is critical right now.
It's huge. It's huge.
It's something that bothers, because I have a son who also struggles with his mental health. So I know where that's coming from, and I know our support could be, and our support is critical. So just to round this podcast, just tell us more about CampOUT.
Wholeheartedly agree. Mental health and well-being is so important, and it's important for all of us to be able to look after ourselves and our mental health and well-being. Part of my isolation as a youth was the fact that I was coming to terms with my sexuality and who I was. And so I didn't really come out until my time during when I attended UBC and got to meet others similar to me. But recall how difficult it was as a teenager dealing with my emotions and thinking I was the only one that was gay and feeling isolated. I was really fortunate that I had avenues that I could turn to support my coming out. So CampOUT is this incredible program for 2S LGBTQ plus youth, where they can attend a 4-day summer camp. And we invite kids from all across the province who identify as part of the 2S LGBTQ plus community to come together and to access resources and know that they're not alone. And for, we prioritize rural communities, obviously, that have less resources perhaps, or in social networks, the Indigenous community. But we are bringing these young folks together to know that they are not alone. They're not the only ones in their classroom or in their school or high school. Yes. And so we just celebrated 15 years, and we have just welcomed our 1,000th participant into this program, participated in this program. And then many of these folks then go back into their communities and become leaders in their community.
Yeah, I witnessed that.
And they continue then to support the community in their home communities where they reside. And then we see many of them come to UBC because they know UBC is such a positive place and a welcoming place for the 2S LGBTQ plus community. So CampOUT is a program that is housed in our Faculty of Education. And we just have incredible support from a community that shares the program and extends the program to all the school districts across the province. And we get so many applications. We unfortunately still get more applications than we have spaces each year for this camp. But we are so grateful, thanks to the generosity of individuals, foundations, corporations, that we can fully fund this program so that a child from the interior, a child from up north, we will fly them down. They will get this experience and then go back and become
Later in their own community. Amazing.
well. First and foremost, they become better individuals.
Better, not bitter.
Better know that they are a contributor to a healthier society, and that they are who they should be, and that they are empowered with the resources for them to thrive, and that they also lead the camp with a greater social network.
Wow.
They get to stay connected with this past year, we had 65 campers. They stay connected, and then they become the support network.
Yes.
For one another,
which
so,
is kind of like an ecosystem anyway.
Absolutely.
So, and that's so amazing. And so, I'm still going to be a huge supporter of CampOUT. So thanks for all you do. And you're just a real gem here in Vancouver. And we're just honored to have you here. And we're just honored for all the work that you do, Fred Lee. It's been a pleasure having you. So thank you so much. And I can't wait to have you back here again, because I could talk to you forever. So thank you so much for coming to Unfiltered with Mariat Jibril. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you.
Thank you.